All right, everyone, like you heard in the intro, we have another special guest kicking off the football series here, the NFL football series, I should say, following week one. Every single week, we're going to have an episode here on Show About Sports detailing the week that just happened and previewing the week ahead, storylines that are developing. And I had to start off with a boom. One of my best friends, Cameron Boone, is on the line. He has not been on the show before, but he is a huge sports fanatic. He was tied to a little bit of a team, so he couldn't really talk about sports for a while, but now he's off of that and can talk about sports finally. So I had to have him on to kick off this series. Cameron Boone. It's funny even calling you that because we all call you Boone. Say what's up to the Show About Sports crew.
Hey, how we doing? A pleasure. First time. I'm excited to get on the show, spread some propaganda and everything like that. I got some takes that are already ready. So let's get this kicking off.
I love it. I love it. And this episode is going to be really funny. And it's going to be a good intel into our
No,
friendship
it's not.
because
We're all serious.
we're all serious all the time.
Yeah,
No, it's
yeah,
a
all
great
takes.
look into kind of the bar conversations that we usually have when we're out and about. And we're going to be talking with the NFL here today, but who knows? We might throw a little bit of college football in there. But
Who
here's
knows?
where we have to start. Game of the year candidate. Bills versus Ravens. Now, I loved everything about it because that was absolute cinema, as the meme is out online. But here's the problem. Let's just start with the problems. Where is the defense? When are we going to talk about the defense for a second? Because I get it. I put out my power rankings today. A lot of people were like, Bills aren't number one. They won the game of the year. I was like, yeah, but did you love their defense? Like, did the Packers not show you a little bit more? Did the Eagles not show you a little bit more? So give me your takes on that game overall at a 30,000 foot vantage point, especially when we talk about that defense.
You look at it and it kind of hits the trend of like all college football. Forget just going out there and playing anything in defense. We're 7-on-7. We've been practicing since we were 8 years old, and we're just throwing the ball, throwing the rock everywhere. I mean, I had like my notes right here: Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, just untouchable. Like, you got something special, especially when it first kicks off. You just see, oh yeah, this is a 50-yard return, and you're all about those new kickoff rules, and you're like, oh, how is this game? Okay, they're right back where they left off, MVP form, going back and forth. But then you go back to it, and really it's a 7-on-7 that I was telling you about. No one could tackle Derrick Henry. I think, what was it? I forget the safety that came over.
Bishop every time.
Bishop, yeah. And I felt so bad. Just whiffed it. The wrong angles, everything. And it was a weird buck and trend because if you look around the NFL, there wasn't many teams that rushed the ball well week one. There was, I think, only 3 100-yard rushers for the entire week. And then you got Derrick Henry. Like, they're always the, oh, is he going to make it past 30? Is there any? This man hasn't even broken his highlights from high school, and he's still trying to catch up. And it's been like 8 years in the league already. So, oh my God, it's just been. They're really 1-2. I don't know what Griffin's talking about with them. I'll keep
okay.
I got them right there.
That's interesting, and that's fair across the board because there is kind of this fluxion point of there's just not going to be a defense that can slow these guys down. We saw this all last year, especially in the Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry avenue, where I'm telling you, Lamar runs 19 yards backwards and still gets a 20-yard gain. He's getting blitzed and nobody can tackle him. Even Joey Bosa on the outside, he's trying to guess which way it's going to go on the handoff. Derrick Henry then gets it, and he's outrunning not only Joey Bosa, but also cornerbacks on the outside. And it's just, it's spectacular to see that 1-2 punch. But when you look on the other side of the field with the Bills, I mean, how did they even stay in this game? How did they figure it out? Because they didn't have that. And Josh Allen was a little off to start the game.
I think it really just goes down to like what you kind of see with just around the league. If you look around, there's 30 minutes time of possession, 30 minutes time of possession around everywhere else. And you see these, I mean, they were flash plays. The throw to Zay Flowers, the run by Derrick Henry. These are 70-yard gains. These are right there. So even with Josh Allen, like, he's not settling in. He's not hitting his open throws early. They were still running the ball. They were still grinding that team down. And eventually over the total, I think the final time was about 37 minutes to 23 to, so 37 Bills, 23 to the Ravens. this defense can't stay on the field forever. I know John Harbaugh is known for his defense and everything, but that when you see Nambuke just put his hands on his hips and
Yeah.
just start getting tired, they can't run. These big defensive linemen, there are only so many times you can sub them in. So even if in the first quarter you have something special, you can miss a couple throws. Overall, it's just not going to work for a full 4 quarters, especially when you're pounding the rock like James Cook off a new deal is, especially when you're having to tackle Josh freaking Allen,
Yeah.
6'5". Like, what are we doing here? I'm gonna get tired real quick.
Yeah.
So I think that's over the course of the season. You're just gonna over the course of a game, 35 minutes of tackling this guy. You're gonna get tired, and that's
Yeah.
what I think we got towards the end of it. And you're just like, all right, this defense is gonna break down. And also the emergence of Keon Coleman.
Yeah.
He looked
No,
good. He
you
looked good.
bring up a lot of good points here, Boone, especially the one of it's almost a negative that they get all of these chunk plays. Like the Ravens,
Exactly.
they quite literally get off the field too fast sometimes. And when they go up
Exactly.
against great offenses like the Bills or like the Bengals or the Chiefs or the Chargers, they're going to start losing the time of possession game. So it's almost like, can Derrick Henry only run for 7 yards every carry, not 45 yards every carry, to just keep us
Mm-hmm.
on the bench a little bit to ensure that you not only are winning on the score, but then you give your defense enough time to recharge and be dominant on the other side. And it's kind of interesting. I mean, speaking of another game like that, I hate to pivot gears already, but the
Wow.
Jets and the Steelers. I mean, we got to talk about that game. Similar scenario, chunk play after chunk play. Both teams were putting on a show, and it's kind of crazy to say an Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields team was putting on a show. Give me your initial read there, because that game felt a lot different than this game, but had similar tendencies and themes throughout each of them.
Throughout like that, you go to Arthur Smith, the what is it, the Steelers OC, and you're like, okay, what's he gonna do? He's gonna throw something weird. You want like, all right, he's gonna go to Kyle Pitts all the time. Nope, he just goes left and he goes to Austin Hooper. It's like, what's gonna? This was just a customary game. Like he just called what was like sitting back. Oh, yep, this is what you call. He was going to DK. He had Aaron just making easy throws, which I was like, why don't you get that to JJ? Why don't you get some rollouts and everything that I was thinking of? Oh yeah, get your quarterback some protection, get him some nice easy chunk play. He was rolling out Aaron. He was getting some. He was getting some nice good looks for him. Aaron sitting back, just looking great. But I think honestly, what I kind of came out of that feeling a little bit better about was just overall Justin Fields. Just like looking at it, he comes in with a defensive minded head coach, Aaron Glenn from Detroit, and it's like, oh my God, like, is this going to work? He's already been on a couple stops. Maybe he gets his college teammate back in there, and it's like, okay, he's got a little bit of some help right there. He has some leftovers from Aaron Lazard, from what is it, Aaron Rodgers and everything. Alan Lazard, I got
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And then you have Brees Hall, who's really just trying to fight for a contract, and he's really just getting back. And he's like, I need to prove myself as the number one receiver threat there. And then you go to it, and you're like, oh, who did Aaron Glenn get to make sure that Justin Fields is as successful as possible? And it's Tanner Engstrom, the guy that helped revitalize Jared Goff's career along with Ben Johnson over there in Detroit. And oh my God, I'm all about the rookie quarterback deal where you can just pay nothing to a rookie quarterback. They can take over. And overall, you just see like the future. Justin Fields hitting, Garrett Wilson as much as you can, finding the open man, making a 2-man headed backfield from him and Brees Hall. It just worked. I was so excited, so impressed. Even though they lost the game, I was like, this is something you can build on for the future. And you got some explosive stuff for the next couple of years.
Yeah, and no, we have quarterback conversations all the time. We have a plan for our Seahawks one
Oh
day. At
my
least my plan. I kind
God. Do you
of
want to share it already?
no,
Or?
I can't share that plan. I don't want other teams to get the same idea
Oh
and
yeah,
steal
yeah. We
that
can't
plan.
put that out
I
in the
need
public.
I need to call John Schneider and Mike McDonald first. No, but you bring up a lot of good points. What I thought was really interesting is Justin Fields, like you just said. I think he played maybe not just statistically, but one of his best games just presence
Certainly.
wise on the field as an NFL quarterback. He used everything. He didn't rely on his legs first like he did in Chicago. He looked
No,
for the read. He was accurate with those easy balls. That was the problem. We were like, wait, can you make those short in breaker routes? Can you make the easy throws? And then he was throwing some seam balls to Garrett Wilson that you were like, okay,
those
there's
were great.
there's a little bit of something. And then they run that classic play action, and then he QB sneak into the end zone like he's just walking in, shaking his head. I'm like, he's confident. He really likes this system. He really likes the Detroit Lions offense, essentially, where it's, hey, we're going to take easy wins. We're not going to make you do anything crazy, 1 or 2 shots a game. And if you can just dial in that accuracy, that's what we're going to get. And the same thing we saw on the Steelers side as well, where I'm like, wait, DK Metcalf is a slot receiver on the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's running across the middle catching things. I was like, I should have drafted him in fantasy this year, but I thought he was just going to be just run down the field, go ball, go ball, go ball. But they're like, each team just found different ways to build an offense and make it simple by putting your best players in the right spot. And then the quarterbacks let them take over. But here's the thing. Justin Fields, I think, has a little bit more longevity with this because he wasn't getting beat up all game. Aaron Rodgers was getting sacked. I know everybody gets excited. A lot of people were upset that I didn't put the Steelers in my top 10 power rankings this week. And I just couldn't because let's just remember who they are as a team. Like, they could have lost that game, first of all. Let's start there.
Oh, by far.
And second, do you feel really good about the Pittsburgh Steelers beating the Jets? Is that why you're going to jump up? No, there was other wins against other teams. Even if they were lower scoring, you saw a lot of things better. So I don't know. Tell me what your thoughts are on some of those things.
I'm actually going to hit it right back to you because I don't know if you remember from last year, but starting the year, they started off 4-0 with Justin Fields, and then they went through that era. Oh, yeah, we're starting Wilson. We're going with that, everything like that. I'm not sure if this is to buy again fool's gold where they could scheme together something that's competent for about 4 or 5 weeks, and then they hit a little bit of a rust spot. They get someone else in, and then they win 3 like they did with Russ, and they're putting up 40 points. But I'm not. I think this looks a little bit different. I'm not so confident to say you're totally right, not putting them in the top 10. I don't think that's something there. I think there's still a lot to be said about Aaron Glenn with his defense. But do you think there's a little bit of fool's gold with just that Arthur Smith? Yeah, I can do a couple weeks, but not the full year.
100%. I think these two teams are big. They need morale to be high for them to go out each week and win games. And I worry morale is going to be a little rocky across the board. Because just look at the personalities on the Steelers for a second. Let's just talk about
DK
this.
and DK
DK,
and
Jalen Ramsey.
are fighting by week 4.
I saw a reel of when Jalen Ramsey like got into like a little bit of beef. DK Metcalf went and backed him up. I don't think I thought I would see a day when DK Metcalf was going to back up Jalen Ramsey. So vibes are really good right now. Vibes are so good. But those two, Aaron Rodgers, a few other players, a couple players that are older veterans that aren't necessarily looking to prove themselves as much anymore, and the young guys that I feel like have this kind of edge to them that I don't always love on the Steelers. It can lead to what will break the camel's back here, because everyone went into the season being like, this is the year when it falls apart. The Tomlin record is over. Everyone's going to get fired. But week 1, now they're 1-0 and they look explosive on offense, which has been the bane of their existence for the last 40 years, it feels like. But here's the thing. Their defense looked god awful against Justin Fields, which was a resurgence, which no discrediting Justin Fields. He put on that show and we know he can, but we have not seen a 40-point Justin Fields game. So I am with you. I think it's fool's gold with both of these teams, and I think it's perfect that they faced each other because it gets everyone excited, but let's see how long the morale lasts, right?
Especially with, I don't know how much you're following, but the Hayward situation, especially as the year gets on, like what's going to happen with that? He's not getting paid enough. There's TJ who just got paid too. Like there's going to be that moment when they lose and all of their marbles kind of on the floor. It's winning always rises all the ships. And what happens with that first loss? It's a lot of new personalities. Aaron Rodgers is known as the exactly easiest guy to get along with. DK has his sideline freakouts when he doesn't get targeted enough. What's going to happen?
I don't know. I don't know, but I'm excited for both of them because I think even in a loss, if I'm a Jets fan or I'm a Jets player, I'm putting my head up high because you're like, wow, at least we're out from under the Aaron Rodgers thing. But if I'm a Steelers fan, I'm like, wow, maybe this Rodgers thing is going to work out. I hate to just put it down to one player, but I'm with you. Like I just said, the veteran stuff, Hayward's not playing for anything but money at this point, and he shouldn't. I mean, he's
Nah.
won Sportsmanship Player of the Year, Walter Payton Man of the Year. He's won everything from every. I don't know if he won a Super Bowl back in the day. I don't think he was on that team.
No.
But yeah, we'll have to see with those two. But I want to jump to another game, another team. We got to talk about our team here. We kind of hinted at it, the Seahawks and 49ers. A game that was very different than the one we just discussed. Not as many points as either of those two games that we just discussed. But first game of Sam Darnold in a Seahawks uniform. Cooper Kupp as well. First offensive experience with Clint Kubiak's offense. Give me your immediate reaction that you can also share from our text messages as well, because I know your immediate reaction is not positive.
You know, it automatically gets to what were you expecting from this offense? It's really what we were promised a heavy run under center. We were promised this is going to get the O line back to where it needs to be. Anthony Bradford had, I think, a 92 overall PFF rating going into the preseason, or no, through the preseason, and we saw none of that throughout the entire game. I think Gray Zabel had like one of the higher PFF ratings through once it came out Monday. But when you get to the meat and bones of it, this did not look at all like what we were promised. There was a lot of shotgun, like not even like hard meat and potatoes runs. It's like trying to get cute with putting Jalen Milrow in on the third play. What are we
that was
doing here?
that was ridiculous. I was like, I know he's coming from the Taysom Hill kind of philosophy where like, let's just use our dynamic guy. But
Yeah.
the third play of the regular season, I was like, yo,
They had a game script called already out,
yeah,
and I think what it gets down to is like who are your players? What's going on here? Because Ken Walker got in and it dejected the offense. It did not look like it was getting through, and you got rid of DK hoping that JSN you could get Torrey Horton, everyone flying. It didn't really work, and it caused Sam Darnold to just lock in. Even on that last play, you see him targeting JSN, looking over at the sideline. Cooper Kupp is actually coming in on a cross,
Mhm.
and he's wide open to save that. It wouldn't even cause a fumble. But I think he gets to the defense, and it they played a good game. They can hold up for as long as they will, but it just goes back to the same old story that we had from basically his rookie year. Tariq Woolen making just he forgot where he was. He was.
Mhm.
It's been years now. How can you can't really fix this honestly because it's like he's sneaking out before games. What was it? 2 years ago, he had the benching. 3 years ago, and under Mike McDonald last year, he's just jumping up at the Rams game a year ago, and he's not attacking the football like you need him to. And those
Mhm.
mental lapses just all came into a fold where those three plays that you wish you could have had back. My coach used to say back in the day, oh,
Oh
yeah, the
yeah.
game is won and lost off 5 plays. I
Oh,
think Reek
100%.
probably missed three of them.
At least two,
It
because
was, yeah.
that down the sideline seemed to Pearsall where he just got beat on a double route that just looks silly with his ankles. And then yeah, we let their third string tight end, because let's all remember hamstring Kittle gone in the first couple of series after he gets his touchdown. He's like, I'm done for the day, coach. And then their backup wasn't, I guess, producing enough. So they started detailing this other guy that was getting his first NFL catches today, and then he gets the game-winning catch against Tyreek Woolen, who is one of the bigger cornerbacks in the league, who should be able to body up against a tight end in the end zone, let alone a third-string tight end. So I'm with you there, and I think you brought up a lot of things that I want to touch on. The persistent need to get one player the ball on each of these offenses, because the 49ers don't get to skate by. They were one play away from losing as well. So I want to make sure,
Big
not just
time.
because I don't
Big
like
time.
them, we got to
Big
talk about
time.
them a little bit. CMC, heavy reliance. I mean, talk about a calf issue. They tested how good that calf was in the pass game and in the run game. And then, like you just said, JSN on our side, we had eyes for one player the whole time. Cooper Kupp dropped one pass. I felt like that turned things off. Horton wasn't really around. Arroyo had a moment. AJ Barner, he's more of a blocking tight end if I had to pick. What is your thought process about how both of these teams were like, wait, I'm scared. Let's just go to our best player over and over and over again and just hope it works out?
I think realistically, you gotta feel good if you're the 49ers. You come in just throughout the offseason, about I want to say like 30 of their 52 were injured if you looked at their injury chart at any given point during the offseason. You were coming in without who it would be Demarcus Robinson, basically Juwan Jennings. You have Kittle for about 2 drives, and you're basically, I think the saying is you're tying your right hand behind your back and you're playing with your left or something. They had their right hand behind their back, their foot, and everything, and it was just they only had really CMC and basically a rookie Ricky Pearsall to play, and they were still able to scheme something open. They were still able to find it. Even with Trent Williams, I think having one of his lowest PFF grades of his entire season, they were still able to find something. Brock Purdy was able to get out and avoid sacks and find a way to win the game. So you got to feel good if you're a 49ers fan. I would say you feel all right actually because you get out of that game and you have maybe Brock Purdy not being able to play and Trent Williams not being able to play
Yeah, a
next.
little shoulder and toe injury, but apparently the toe is worse than the shoulder. And if I had to pick a more important part of the body for a quarterback, shoulder being okay is a little bit better. But turf toe, if that's what it is, that's no joke, as we've seen.
Oh, but for sure. And yeah, I think if you're the Seahawks, it's just like a come to God moment. It's like, okay, we know JSN, you're great. We have a lot of faith in you, but we need to get other people involved. We
Oh
need
yeah,
to make sure that this running game is sufficient. And you didn't see that, especially with 8 new starters on San Francisco, and you couldn't run the ball. They had Nick Bosa that is basically coming over, Demondre Lenore, and basically no one else that's a returning starter. So you don't feel confident. I mean, personally to me, I don't know. We'll go to you and see how you feel.
yeah.
But seeing that 7 win that Vegas put, I had before this game, I was like, oh, we'll crush that. It'll be fine. I feel confident with Mike, vision aligned with Kubiak, which we didn't have before with Grubb. It'll be great. But after seeing what Clint put out that first week, and if this is the offense that we're getting, and there's not that come to Jesus moment, I feel like 7 might have been an overreach. What do you feel?
It's interesting that you say that because I at least feel like we have a little bit more of a vision this year than we did last year. At least we have an identity purpose. Like we have a
We've seen
purpose in mind.
it work with Clint
Like
before in
with Grubb,
Vegas.
I was like, ooh, off the bat, I wasn't sure. With Kubiak, he's going to live and die by his thoughts. And his thoughts are we're just going to overcorrect on the run. When we run 6 straight run plays and there's no creativity on a drive, and then we start getting stuffed, and then it's a 3rd and 7, I don't like that because that's how we stall drives. I need a little bit more play action. I need even those 2nd and 5s where you're like, I should probably run the ball here and just get it for a close 3rd down. No, let's try throwing it because they're going to load the box a little bit more. They're going to be expecting that. I just want a little bit more creativity from Kubiak, and I think that's what hurt him in New Orleans, despite not having the talent as much there. But that's then what hurts our team here because, like you just said,
Yeah.
JSN's great, but no great team. It's not Tom Brady and Randy Moss back there. We're not like, oh, they're gonna, it can just be those two all day, Darnold and JSN. They'll figure it out. No, we need to develop the run. At times it was working. Let's just be honest. It was better than last year if we can look at just one week, but it wasn't, like you just said, very creative or very cool. And it wasn't like the 49ers. Like I feel like the 49ers were a very basic scheme at the end of the day, but they got their guys involved in different ways that I don't feel like our team did. And maybe I
It was
just was missing
creative.
something.
It was creative. I mean, they got Christian McCaffrey out on a couple on not a post, but on some corners. They got him some easy completions. There was just something about it that hey, I don't have to like avoid 4 or 5 people in the backfield like it always feels like Kenneth Walker is doing in order to make a play. So it's just about getting like those easy completions, especially seeing it from the preseason. I mean, I remember, I think it was a Kansas City game. You had Oots on a quick rollout, just, hey, we're faking right. And then Sam Darnold rolls out. He comes bootlegging left underneath. It's just 4 or 5 yards. It's just an extender. And there was none of that, the repeat throughout the game. So I hope we have that conversation, and like it's like, hey, we need to get back on the field. But yeah,
Yeah. We'll see. It's only week 1. It is a little bit of that divisional
it's
kind of
time for
wear and tear.
overreactions, though. Come
Yeah,
on.
it's overreaction time. That's of course what a week 1 is. That's all I was doing. I was overreacting to college football today as well. It's the time of the year to do it because we don't have any
Always.
summaries or themes of these teams. So, speaking about an overreaction here, we need to talk about Miami versus the Colts. Can we talk about that for a second? Oh my gosh, the Daniel Jones.
Ugh.
I did a funny thread, which I thought was funny, but people were taking it
It,
seriously, of
it,
course.
it,
I was like,
was it funny?
front runner for MVP. Like, this was before Lamar game. This was before Josh Allen. This was, this was the morning slate games. And I just was like, hold on. Daniel
Yeah.
Jones looks proficient and that defense looks good. But I also think Miami is just dejected as a team. I don't think they have a philosophy. I think everyone stopped following Mike McDaniel's philosophies. And I just think they have a lot of players that aren't really bought in. When you look at that team and you look at, say, the Jaguars had a pretty decent win. The Cardinals get a win in week 1. How do we rate these teams that we already have in their back half of the league in terms of power rankings or thoughts of what they can do? But they all won in week 1.
So I think a couple things, just rapid fire. Tua, he has a $76 million cap hit. He is not going anywhere. Sadly, Miami fans do not expect that for anything. I don't know how much we can actually pick up from the Jaguars game. I mean, you start that with the early slate and you go from it, and I think it's about 8 minutes into the second quarter, and
The weather.
you have an hour and a half delay. It's so hard to stop. So it's basically start, okay, we're in 13 minutes, we're gunning into our offense, stop, and then you kind of go from there. And it's like, oh, we have halftime then, and then we start again. So yeah, but Bryce just did not look good. I think both of his turnovers were just, oh, they were awful. They did not look good. McMillan, if you're a fan, he looked good, and I think Canales will kind of begin to mold that connection, kind of like he has between what would it be? It would be DK and Gino, and this kind of throughout the years which is what he did with the Seahawks and what he did kind of with Baker Mayfield and kind of the places that he's gone. But I think the biggest question out of one of those early slates is Bo Nix. It was
Oh,
just, oh my
I was
God.
about to bring this up, the sophomore quarterback watch. I know we wanted to touch on that. So let's get into that. Bo Nix, how do you rate
Oh,
his performance versus all of the other sophomore quarterbacks this year? Which, before you go, the first thing I have to say is,
okay.
why
Okay.
is why does Sean Payton love making Bo Nix throw like 40 times a game in week 1? He did this against the Seahawks week 1, where he just was like, my rookie's going to throw more than he ever has in college. Use his legs a little bit more. Let your run game develop. Maybe there just isn't a trust in it. RJ Harvey's not there. J.K. Dobbins. But give me your Bo Nix takes because I'm intrigued by what you're just saying here, despite their win as well.
I think you kind of get there, and I mean, neither team run the ball. I mean, Cam Ward couldn't do much. He's still a rookie coming in, but just I felt like he was just off on his throws, and just a lot of his passes just were god awful. Like it was just like, what are you looking at here? Just especially what you're saying, like there wasn't especially a run game to kind of even it out. I thought a lot of the offenses in the first week were pretty hesitant. They weren't going anywhere. They weren't connecting on a lot of their throws. That even without having like they had their offensive coordinator from last year to this year. It's progressing. We should see some development. And this kind of seemed like regression, not to last year, but to the Auburn years. And it was just like, really, you can't have an open receiver.
Oh,
It
don't.
seemed like every throw seemed like it was harder than the last. And it was like, yeah, you gotta question like,
So are we saying that his prime was the Oregon years then? Because you went all the way back to Auburn right there. That was quite a
uh,
step back. Because I'm with you. I think there's a slight problem taking place in Denver right now. I think they overachieved last year. They
mhm,
lost in every game that was an above 500 team and couldn't win in those
exactly.
one score games. Third, They have a really good defense that can bail you out all game long, like we just saw where Cam Ward was out there floundering. Talk about the worst defense you want to see as a week one rookie for Cam Ward. So
Exactly.
I think the lights are a little bit bright for Bo Nix right now. He has a lot of pressure on his shoulders, which we've shown he can handle with the way he carries himself, but he hasn't been able to handle it in terms of actually producing results. It's kind of the Justin Herbert archetype where you're like, oh, I really like what I'm seeing in the development and the way that he carries himself, but you're not pulling it off like Jaden Daniels does. You're not pulling it off. I don't even know if there's another one to compare in his own class right now, but
Yeah.
Bo Nix is kind of number two, but people were fighting for him to be rookie of the year next to, Jaden Daniels last year. And
No,
now there's
no.
this
Bronco fans are
expectation
insane.
that they can compete with the Chiefs within the AFC West. But right now, the Raiders are in first place with the Chargers in the AFC West after week one.
I think yeah. I mean, you hit on all the points I was like going. You made some great points, but you look at it and you're like, okay, what's going on with Pete and the crew? I mean, he's just the oldest coach in history, and somehow just comes out rejuvenated and everything. And your question was in Seattle. Can you adapt to modern offenses? Can you adapt to modern schemes in the NFL? And what he did, took a year back, took a seat back. He was like, let me get in my book. Let me get in my bag. And it was weird. It like you think, especially with that come to God moment that I just talked about with Seattle, he'd have that moment where he was like, despite Ginty not having a good day, we are just going to continue to run the. Nope, nope. He loves Gino enough. He is going to make that work. He sees the connection between him, Bowers. All right, let it fly. I have my OC from Ohio State. I have full trust in him. Let me just let it rip. And you see, Geno Smith is just a gamer, and he was just on one. He doesn't care that he took 4 sacks. He's ready to stand in the pocket, get hit, and he'll just deliver a dime to Jacoby Meyer, anyone, Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, everything like that. And that just made you feel good. And the game didn't get away from you. I mean, he had what it was a 13-20 win, and
Yeah.
and the defense, it didn't look bad. It still like could probably use some work. Offenses were down. Drake May still is a little iffy. Could use some more pressure, but hey, that's better than he did in Seattle. He had the 26th ranked defense like these last couple of years in Seattle, and he started to get Tyree Wilson, who we all thought was a bust, to start working, and then Max Crosby just getting back to where he was. So it makes you feel good if you're a Raiders fan to see the offense perform and just everything kind of putting together.
100%, especially with the Chip Kelly type offense, which coming from Ohio State might have ran the ball more than anybody else when you had Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins back in the backfield and you win a national championship off of that. But
Yeah.
Chip Kelly continues to reinvent himself. And I love the pairing of him and Pete Carroll because I feel like those two in a room together are probably, first of all, hilarious. And second of all, it's probably a great meeting about a lot of good quality ways to stay ahead of the game. They're not
Exactly.
stuck in their ways across the board, even though they're two of the oldest coaches in the NFL right now. They are the last thing from stuck in their way. So I was hyped for the Raiders. I was
Mhm.
a little bit shocked by the Patriots, like you kind of called out. I was expecting a little bit more, but it kind of goes into the thing of the preseason hype. The darlings of the preseason didn't really perform as well as I would think when I talk about teams like the Patriots that people thought would step forward. The Broncos, despite a win, people were like, the Cardinals could take a step forward and whatnot. I didn't like how they played. I almost think the Saints could have won that game, really, at
Can
the end
we
of the day.
just not even mention the Saints? They don't even deserve to be mentioned for that jersey combination that they had on. Can we
Yeah,
just erase that from our memory? Just exit that out. But
that's
yeah,
fair.
yeah. I thought, yeah, the Cardinals, to talk about a preseason darling just coming out swinging. You're thinking like, oh yeah, like this is the Saints. This is going to be basically a 4th preseason game like we used to have. Spencer Rattler starting, and you end up in the 4th quarter, and they actually just barely missed a throw to just tie the game, and it
Yeah,
was like that close. It was something where you were like, wait, you're not supposed to. Why are you still here? Why are you still hanging in? This is the
yeah,
4th quarter. Aren't you supposed to be down like 20 or
yeah.
something?
No,
But
seriously.
yeah, I was I was more impressed by the Saints being able to keep in there than I was with the Cardinals winning that game.
I think that's a great way of phrasing that. I think there was a couple of those types of games out there. I wanted to pivot to this though. We can't forget about the Thursday night game because we just got the suspension handed down for Jalen Carter. And when I
Oh,
say suspension,
oh.
he's already served his suspension
Suspension, yeah.
because he actually sat out the whole game because he decided to get in trouble on the first play, and that
So
acted
fun.
as his one game suspension.
So fun.
$57,000 is not a small amount of money, so hopefully he's okay. But if he gets paid that extension one day, he'll recoup that kind of loss there. But the Eagles showed out, in week one for a team in a game where the Cowboys said, wait, hold my beer. You guys all said we were going to be bad. Dak Prescott was slinging it around. CeeDee Lamb was unfortunately dropping a lot, but they were able to run up and down on the Eagles all game long. And that was actually surprising. But then we saw the Miles Sanders we know where he fumbles a little bit. That's why he's on his fourth team in 4 years. We see that type of mistakes that we're worried about with the Cowboys. But I was really appreciative of their identity that they showed and were able to put up a fight against the Eagles. But the Eagles' maturity, I think, starts with Jalen Hurts, obviously, and then trickles down even into all their young guys, despite maybe Jalen Carter a little bit. Were able to hold things together when it mattered most. Were
Yeah.
you impressed by the defending champs not really having a Super Bowl hangover and a very losable game to start off the season?
It's really hard to say. I feel like that team that the Eagles put together is just it's they can move teams in and out. I mean, you brought up Miles Sanders. They easily like had their running backs coming in. They've had everything. They finally found someone sustainable with Saquon Barkley. But Jalen Carter is just an irreplaceable piece. He is someone in the middle that just anchors. And even despite his character problems, he is going to kill it. He's gonna stop that run. And you come in with Ryan Schottenheimer, first time head coach. He came in. He came in with a mission. He had his will imposed on offense as they did through the first quarter and first half, really, in 3 quarters. He was just dominating, and it felt like they were wildly in control. Whoever had the ball last was going to win the game. But I don't know how much faith I put into that. I don't feel confident. I don't feel confident about a Carterless Eagles team like having to scheme around this new team.
And it's not just that, their
I don't know.
secondary
I don't
worries
know.
me as well. I mean, like I just said, Dak Prescott was hitting open receivers that were open, and only CD was dropping them. They weren't like tough plays to. So it
I
kind of
don't know.
worries me with their defense a little bit. Not even with Jalen Carter, but I think it would go a long way if they can force teams to pass more because they're able to run stuff a little bit better.
It's
But they put them in really good short and distance
It's
on
gonna be
second downs.
like if is this gonna be repeatable throughout the year? I think this is probably one of the games that you're just like, how repeatable is this? Is Jalen Carter gonna get suspended again throughout the year? Is this game that like the Eagles secondary can't hold out throughout like all 4 quarters of a game every single year? Is Brian Schottenheimer gonna be able to coach a game like this all throughout the year, or is it just because he had a what was it like a new offense, a new scheme over in Dallas because this worked, or was it because like both the teams were fighting literally all
Yeah,
all day
yeah.
that this worked and it was an NFC rivalry? Who knows? I think this is one of the games that was most week one. It's like question mark, how repeatable is this going to be for both teams?
Okay, it's a great segue. You set me up perfectly for this. The
Oh, I just
Chiefs
throw
and the
ups.
Chargers. I mean, let's talk about a
Mm,
similar scenario where the Chiefs, I mean, okay, they're not defending Super Bowl champions, but they've been around, been to the Super Bowl multiple times. We're expecting them to bounce back. They didn't look themselves. That's kind of the way that I'm putting it. They did not look themselves in Brazil. I mean, I wouldn't look myself in Brazil either. That's a lot of travel to go play football. I heard some people were getting a little sick from the food, like Makai Becton on the Chargers sideline the day before. Like both teams were a little bit affected by the travel, but the Chargers looked a little bit more gassed up to play this game. Am I reading that right? Is this just kind of a fluky start for a team that went 15-2 last year in the Chiefs?
I just have no clue what to think about that. I mean, talk about not even traveling like country. You're traveling to a whole different area with Jim Harbaugh throwing the ball. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
what are we talking about here? He was about him and John came from those old schools of just like run, pound the ball, do everything, and then you get out and you get Justin Herbert to throw 30 times. What are we looking at here? But I mean, hey, you have Justin Herbert, you have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Why not let him rip? And he just kind of showed you he's going to be able to find the open man. Lad McConkey not stopping where he started off. I felt really good about that. And if he can get Quinn Johnston to actually produce like he was
Yeah.
supposed to coming out of TCU, and Keenan Allen, who surprisingly is able to rejuvenate his career after looking completely trash in Chicago, it's like, oh, this offense has a bunch of weapons on it. Not to mention Joe Alt, who is just an all perennial left tackle. And
Which
I
they had to
know
use because Rashawn Slater tears his MCL or whatever before the season. Joel's like, all right, I'm left tackle now.
I am completely impressed by him. That great pick over. I mean, number 4 overall. They came out with that. I think that I forget the entire quote, but Jim was like, "Offensive line is where we start the football, and that's where we
Oh, yeah.
start the." And he was just so impressed with Joe Alton that he just made it a staple of his team coming out and saying we're going to run the ball. But I think as you get deeper in the year, you're gonna rely on your defense, and I feel good about Jim being able to do that, but let's not kid ourselves. This is Patrick Mahomes. He
Yeah.
doesn't care about September. I don't care about the time zone or anything like
But
that.
that's so funny. See, they
I
don't care
feel
about September, yet they have such a good historical record in September. I think Andy Reid doesn't lose in September. This is weird. Yes, it's week 1, so it's kind of an anomaly, but usually week 1 through 5, they don't lose, right?
I mean, they had that black magic here last year
Yeah.
where they were missing field goals, doing
Yeah.
everything. But
That
you still
Bengals
see
game.
through, yeah, you still see throughout the game, and you just talk about just those guys at quarterback and like Lamar being able to run 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage and just being able to somehow find a 10-yard gain. Jalen Hurts always with the tush push. Josh Allen, whatever black magic he's doing to be able to stay upright. Patrick Mahomes has it, and he has the Super Bowl rings to accompany like everyone else, and so he's just in a class of his own as well with everyone else. So I'm not worried overall. I think the team he's just going to have to do what he has done these past couple of years, where it's Travis Kelce's getting older. I'm going to have to be the Superman to everyone else's Robin. I don't know what else to even call them, but yeah, I think he's still got
Okay. I have a question for you. True or false?
it. Mm-hmm.
The Packers were the most impressive team in week 1. I put you on
Oh.
the spot here. There was no prep on this question.
Oh,
It's okay. Take your time. No rush.
I I'm gonna say I'll say yes as a placeholder for right now. I think when we're talking about what is it? What happens to a defense when you take off Jalen Carter? What happens to a defense when you put on someone like Micah Parsons? And it's like, oh yeah, you scheme around him, you try and get him easy. No, they got a couple other guys. Lucas Van Ness, he was getting Edrin Cooper looked great. It's honestly one of the best young defenses in the NFL, and it's a tough day if you're a Detroit fan and like seeing your OC and DC lose too. But I really was liking where they were going, and they didn't even get Matthew Golden involved that much, and they were
No.
still able to put up some good points on the a decent Lions defense.
Now, the thing is I've been on the Packers this whole off season. Everybody can go check the tapes and the threads. But before the Micah Parsons trade, I was like, this team could come out of the NFC and go compete for a championship. I think they can compete with the Eagles of the world. And I think they're going to dethrone the Lions. And I thought week 1's a great place to start. And they absolutely stomped the Lions in terms of any productivity. The Lions didn't look like the Lions that we knew of from last year, not just on defense. Because again, Micah Parsons only played 75% of snaps, that his allotment of snaps. He's
Yeah,
still getting back from this back injury that he's going through. He's got an epidural just to play football right now. He is not fully healthy. So when we look at the Packers offense, I'm almost more impressed by them because Jordan Love, talk about a week 1 last year where he's just slipping on the Brazil grass, just trying to figure it out. to dominating,
That's awful.
dominate. And Josh Jacobs, one of the most underrated running backs in the NFL. I swear it's just those Raiders players that are just underrated, like Max Crosby, if you know what I mean, Boo, because I know he's
Oh
underrated
my
in your mind.
God.
But
Oh my
we'll come
God.
back to that. It's just interesting to see the Packers really put something together in week one to face the music, because we often see teams not face the music very well, like we just talked about with the Broncos, like we even talked about with Miami. Like there was no music playing for them, but they just they shut it off. They threw out the speakers. They don't want to hear it. So
No.
are the Packers a team that we're going to look forward and they're going to be the 15-2 type team this year? Or is this a flash in the pan and you just saw things that just kind of worked and they took advantage of a weak Lions team in week one?
I think, even though I do think that I'm really going back and forth, because I do think, despite the Jets loss, they were the ones that I still think that they were like kind of up there. Even though they lost, I think they were still like super impressive from where I thought they were. But you get through it and you're like, the Lions have lost so much. And Dan Campbell, he's a great coach, but he's not really known as the schematic guru that maybe Sean McVay, Mike McDonald, and Mike McDaniel are, and like kind of the Kyle Shanahans of the world are. He's going to need kind of those other pieces to work out. And you get Aiden Hutchinson, who's just coming off an ACL tear, and he has kind of a no show. Like that's fine. They'll get kind of more integrated. They'll figure out more of the teams, and you lose someone as vital as like Tanner Engstrom was, who we can see is just revitalizing Justin Fields' career. It's going to take a second for that kind of team. It's kind of like the Packers' well-oiled machine that just kind of turns over. You got to figure out kind of what happens, I think, really when the playoffs start. So once the season gets a little bit colder, because Jordan Love, I think he has a 1-2 touchdown to interception ratio once the playoff starts. And you just wonder, is that going to hold off throughout this season versus a Lions team that's still kind of tightening some screws. They're still figuring some stuff out. It's going to take a little bit of time for that Lions team to get back for a second, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a month, maybe next year, but it's going to take a second, and it'll take some time. Just be comfortable with
Yeah.
that. Just be comfortable being uncomfortable.
I'm not ready to write off the Lions completely. That's not what I'm trying to
That's
say.
what
And
I'm
I'm not
saying.
ready
I'm
to
saying
I'm
4
not
weeks
ready to
maybe.
crown the Packers either. I just think
Mm.
both teams showed exactly what the offseason hype or worries were. Exactly. The Lions didn't look like themselves, and the Packers took that step and answered the call. And so their division, let's end on this. Their division ended on Monday night with the Bears
Oh,
and the
oh
Vikings.
yes.
Talk about a game where you could have thought one thing in the first half and been completely right, and then the second half, that thought process would have made no sense whatsoever. First half summary, just high level, not even perfect. Caleb Williams looking a little decent. He's standing in the pocket. He's getting it out on time. They're taking care of it. JJ McCarthy looks like he hasn't ever played football before. Does he know Justin Jefferson's out there? It's good that both defenses are around to keep both teams in the game. Flip the script in the second half. Talk about JJ McCarthy as the second coming of Christ in Minnesota, playing out of his mind, developing good habits as they go on. Kevin O'Connell deserves a raise. And then again, the Bears curse strikes again. What is your immediate reaction? Because I was sitting there watching, being like, oh, this game's a little boring. But then after about the halfway through the third quarter, I was like, hold on now. These two teams are interesting.
I think you kind of summed it up right there. It felt like someone possessed JJ McCarthy's just ability to read defenses. Like first couple of drives, at least first half, it was like he's not only like getting sacked, but he looks completely slow getting through his read. It was like, all right, first read, and
Or
then
just staring it
finally
down.
it
He's
was
just,
bad.
yeah,
And it was a miss, or it was about 2 or 3 misses to Justin Jefferson. It's like, this is the best receiver in the NFL. Like,
yeah.
we need to make sure that we get him the ball. It shouldn't be that hard. And I was a little bit frustrated with what was it, Kevin O'Connell's play calling as well. It felt like there were just some straight drop back passes where I was trying to talk about earlier, where we had Justin Fields, Tanner Engstrom. Hey, we're gonna get something a little bit underneath, something that just gets you run. We could have called some bootleg, something like that. But
Exactly.
And then I had the complete opposite feeling the other way, where it was like, Caleb, all right, he's hitting open receivers. Ben Johnson just killing it absolutely. That article that came out 3 days before the season means nothing to me. I am going to tear this team up. Oh yeah, Rome, I can find you. DJ, I can find you. And then it's almost like that spirit just got plucked from JJ and went straight over to Caleb. And it looked almost a complete opposite game script while you like went over the second half. It honestly looked like Caleb just wasn't connecting with receivers. A little bit slow. I wouldn't say as slow as JJ was in the first, but JJ just lit a fire underneath himself and he was able to like find some stuff. It really does make you feel like, all right, I'm comfortable with this guy. I don't know if you saw the quote, but he said, all right, we got this before he threw the interception and said, all right, the offense is going to unlock. And then he went down and scored 21 unanswered, and it didn't
Yeah.
matter. And I actually felt coming out of this a little bit better than I did about the Bears last year. It was weird
Oh,
because this is an offense that I think if you were able to hit a couple of easy passes that Caleb that had the receivers dropped or Caleb just was a little bit early on, you're able to at least score 30, 40 points. I think that's something
oh,
that's like there.
sorry. You didn't even stutter when you said 40
He was
points.
they were something that was something that they just weren't connecting on. They were very easy open routes that were very
No,
connectable.
and that's what
And
I'm saying with Caleb.
yeah.
He turns into this his old self at USC where he almost steps out of the rhythm of the offense and thinks, I need a hero ball. We need a 30-yard gain, not just a 5-yard gain. He almost gets scoreboard crazy where he forgets. But you look at JJ McCarthy the whole time, they were down the whole time, but he was pretty consistent, even if it was bad. He was consistent in what he was and was following the flows of the offense. And like you just said, sometimes his coaching staff was letting him down in terms of play calling. I didn't see a moment where Ben Johnson was being too conservative like the Vikings were. So I'm with you. I don't know
I
what was up with Caleb.
I felt like I think after the about the what was it halfway into the second quarter, Kevin O'Connell looked Brian Flores in the face and he said, blitz Caleb as much as possible. Because in that first quarter, when Caleb was looking good, it was about 4-man rushes all day, 4-man, and they weren't getting to him. That investment in the O line paid off for them. And then all of the inconsistencies just started to show where it was like, this is a new team. This is like, I think three new offensive line spots. This consistency isn't going to this team
It's
doesn't
just a
have
numbers game,
consistency yet.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think realistically, as that's why I was comfortable saying 30, 40 points. I think that they could have put on this team because as you get further into the year, Caleb's going to settle down. I think he's going to know more of the playbook. This O line is going to have some battle scars. They're going to be able to be like, all right, I know what the center's calling now. I don't have anything. And just kind of those phantom holding calls just won't happen as often.
Oh,
A
yeah.
regression to the mean. I just think that there's a lot coming out of this that even though you're not happy as a Bears fan, where you're like, we really let this go, you're gonna be like in the long run, all right, we learned where to take our licks. We know what needs to happen. We can
See,
come back here.
I'm almost with you, but I'm actually absolutely not with you because
That's
here's the
fine.
thing.
That's fine.
Here's the thing,
That's fine.
though. Here's what I'm worried about. I love that JJ McCarthy was playing like dog poop for a long time, but yet was high fiving everyone. It's the small things, it's the leadership
Mhm.
of the position, high fiving things,
Mhm.
reconfirming his confidence in everyone else all along, stopping in the tunnel to talk with Justin Jefferson. Hey, man, it's my bad. I'm not getting you the ball. I'm going to get you the ball. Caleb Williams, unfortunately, is a diva on the field with his
Mhm.
mannerisms and the way he's not looking towards his teammates. He's not hyping them up. Anytime a good play happens, he salutes himself. It almost feels like he looks for opportunity to do the first down mark for himself, not the high fives. Maybe I'm missing it. The cameras don't show us everything, but I worry about that in terms of the intangibles of the position. And I feel like Caleb's trying to show this facade of I'm not worried that I was the first pick in a loaded QB class because I am the best. You know, like everyone's told me the best, I'm the best. while every other quarterback in the class is coming after him. It's like that Arch Manning thing. Everyone's coming after me. No, we got a red dot pointed at them. That's what everyone's doing to Caleb. They have a red dot at him. Jane
Mhm.
Daniels, Bo Nix, even Michael Penix, which we're not going to talk about today, looked pretty decent in his first week one start. And then you talk, yeah, it's okay. It's a little bit, it's not everything, but it's something. And then JJ McCarthy, you're just like, hold on. I like the intangibles part, which I think feeds into how then you play on the field. Am I off in that way? And is that, do you have hope that that's going to be a good positive change that we're going to see from Caleb, or is that just who he is?
I think that there's kind of like two ways to take this. It's we don't have the opposite completely. There's the easy Russell Wilson, Javonte Williams meme that there was 2 years ago, where you could just tell no one on that team liked Russell Wilson.
Mhm.
They looked at him. You're not getting us the ball. We're losing by 50 points to the
Wasn't that
Dolphins.
Melvin Gordon or
Oh,
something?
Melvin
Yeah,
Gordon, Melvin
yeah,
Gordon.
yeah.
Yeah. I was off. I was off. But yeah, there you don't have that. There's nothing that's super pointing to what's it called? To Caleb being disliked heavily by his teammates. Even though those writers that they have do say that he's slow to get out of his reads, slow to call lines at the line of scrimmage and everything. I think that winning will solve a lot of that. And as soon as we
You
get
got to do those things to
figure
win,
out
though, Boone.
they will, they
Yeah.
will, they will slowly get something because I think there's a lot to learn out of this. But I think to flip it to the other side, if you're a Vikings fan and you have that from JJ, I think you feel so good about where this is going. He was able to weather the storm, go through adversity and everything like that. And this is not even where you feel like the most comfortable. When you feel the most comfortable is 2 to 3 weeks from now, when not only do you have Justin Jefferson lining up on the one side, but you also have Jordan Addison and Jalen Naylor coming back with you, and he has a lot more confidence just being able to rip it, throw it like Sam Darnold. I know that first half was definitely rough, but I think as he settles in, he has more receiving options. They were trading from Adam Thielen from Carolina at the deadline before the season. You don't think Jordan Addison is going to give a young quarterback a lot more confidence? I think there's a lot of upside for these young quarterbacks to go. So yeah,
I'm with you. No, I'm not going to take too much. That might be my biggest overreaction of week one is I think the Bears are
they'll
going to
be
still finish
fine.
fourth. And
They'll
that's
be
what I did
fine.
in my
There's more to
preseason
learn.
prediction. I was like, this division's too good. There's no way the Vikings take a historical 7-game bounce back from their 14-win season, even with JJ. And JJ confirmed that he's got that dog in him, again, and you just
Oh my
haven't seen that from Caleb quite yet. And that's all that I'm missing. I'm missing the intangibles that I think will help the tangible things on the field.
The
And we'll
the
have to
good
see.
thing is that he doesn't have Shane Waldron calling him plays anymore.
Yes.
So
It's
there
a
there
little bit of that.
we do have one good thing.
It's a little bit of that Trevor Lawrence year one with Urban Meyer. Like it's okay, we can just write that season off. But look at
Never
Trevor Lawrence.
happened. Never happened.
Trevor Lawrence is starting to battle his way back. 1-0 though with the Panthers
Exactly.
victory, so not that bad.
Yeah.
But Boone,
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it here. Cameron Boone for
Oh
everyone.
my God. Great to
Joined us
have
here
you.
on the podcast. An easy, quick hour here, talking about everything week one.
What's
I
that
can't
now?
wait. It was an hour.
No,
I'm looking
was
at
it?
the timer right now. I'm loving it. But this has been a great episode. Shout out to everyone that's still listening up to this point. Again, we're going to have episodes every single week. New guests. Boone, you might be coming back online later in the season. I might need you depending on how good this episode does.
There
So
we
if you
go.
enjoyed hearing Boone, make sure to subscribe below, like everything. And as always,
Go
cheers,
follow.
everyone.